Well, guys, so up to this class, we were studying about the rise of the North, which is the situation between Abraham González, Pascual Orozco, and Francisco Villa, who were the main caudillos, to call it some way, who were able to manage the start of the revolution, especially in Chihuahua. Some of you mentioned Cuchillo Parado in your letters that we wrote today in class. And yes, it is believed that Cuchillo Parado was one of the first regions or cities, rural cities, that started the revolution. So yes, so remember, these are three of the most important characters in the revolution up to this point. And because of them, remember that Madero was able to get back from Texas, from the U.S., throughout Ciudad Juarez. And during his time in the United States, he got the help of someone called Sherborne Hopkins, who was a legal assessor in Washington, and that's the way that Madero started getting and gaining power and acceptance from the government of the United States. Obviously, the government of the United States managed to understand and to think forward in Madero as a president of Mexico, because, and one of the main reasons is this, basically, the oil companies. If Madero, here we have a picture of Sherborne Hopkins, if Madero was able to become president of Mexico, then their interest will be safe, especially their economical interests. And Sherborne Hopkins was an expert in insurrections and had really close ties to the Standard Oil Company, which meant that he had something to win out of Madero becoming president. So, throughout the entrance of Mexico, throughout the entrance of Francisco y Madero to Mexico, throughout Ciudad Juarez, Sherborne Hopkins and the U.S. companies of oil and many other things were basically getting the ability to reach out to Mexico and gain more money, economical interests. So after that, remember we mentioned Ciudad Juarez, the way they took Ciudad Juarez, la toma de Ciudad Juarez. And at the end of that conflict, there was this treaty signed, who is called the Ciudad Juarez Treaty. As you can see in the image of the newspaper Diario del Hogar, which was a local newspaper that was delivered in Mexico in this time of the Mexican history, the Ciudad Juarez Treaty made possible the resignment of General Diaz. With this, it was like breaking point in the history of Mexico. One of the strongest leaders we've had since Mexican independence had to step away of becoming being the president. So, as you can see in the title, the new president will be Mr. de la Barra. Mr. de la Barra was the Secretary of State, el Secretario de Relaciones Exteriores, and he called for new elections. De la Barra also eventually competed against Francisco Madero, and he lost, as we saw in today's class. So Madero makes the compromise to dissolve the Revolutionary Army, and with that agreement that Madero made, many governors resigned. They stopped being governors, especially the governors who were really close to Porfirio Diaz. This in theory was good. However, as you can see here, the Congress remained the same. So this isn't a good thing necessarily, because they are the ones who they are the legislative power. They are the ones who make the rules. They are the ones who make the law. So if they were close to Porfirio Diaz, well, and then he will not be able to work fluidly, and I'm speaking about Madero. So it was like a peace treaty that was signed, But it was signed specially, and Madero knew a lot of this because he had a lot of money, to maintain the foreign investors calm. If foreign investors, either from the US, from Germany, from France, could see that Mexico was being unstable, they would take away their investments. So they signed the peace treaty in order to keep everything safe, especially speaking about economical things. So with this, the end of the rebellion was over. Theoretically, we're going to see in further classes that this rebellion existed for over 10 years. And Pascual Orozco, after this, decided to rise against Francisco Madero. As we can see in these images, remember we won't have a lot of images. Francisco Madero decided not to keep up all the plans from Plan de Ayala. So many of the revolutionaries that helped him to gain power decided to race against him. So before we go on, Madero had he ran for president against De la Barra, and he won. So as president, he started acting according to what was best for Mexico in terms of macroeconomy. When I refer to macroeconomy, I'm speaking about not the daily basis economy of every single family in Mexico, but the way it is looked from foreign investors. So macroeconomically, Madero did what he thought to be best. This wasn't a very popular opinion, especially for Pascual Orozco, for Emiliano Zapata, which we can here see him in the Plan de Ayala. We have Bernardo Reyes, again, who showed up to the political sphere influence. And at this stage of politics, we have General Victoriano Huerta. Victoriano Huerta helped Francisco Madero to fight against Pascual Orozco, for example. Pascual Orozco decided to rise against him, but against Madero. However, Victoriano Huerta, who was a general during Porfirio Diaz's mandate, helped him to defeat Mr. Orozco, who, remember, he was from Chihuahua. And the negotiations with Emiliano Zapata were fructiferous. Why? Well, because Madero did not accept three things. And the three things that Madero did not accept were basically to restitute, to give back the land that were expropriated from them during the rule of Porfirio Diaz. So, no restitution of the lands. Madero did not allow Emiliano Zapata to have to become governor of the state of Morelos, and he also did not accept the federal army to leave Morelos. Zapata was aware Madero was aware that Zapata was someone dangerous, so he did not trust him. So that's why he did not allow him to have an administration, and he also did not admit him to be free. So he had the army. Bernardo Reyes, remember, he was really close to Porfirio Diaz. He also competed for the presidency and lost, and was angry at Madero. So he also, remember, Madero wrote the Plan de San Luis, Zapata wrote Plan de Ayala. So General Bernardo Reyes wrote Plan de la Soledad, which was a plan where he established, and he stated that Francisco Madero's government was not legitimate. And he basically plagiarized Plan de San Luis, mentioning that the government should not be recognized, that we should fight against the government. However, it did not fructify. And basically because of Victoriano Huerta helping Madero. Another thing that helped Madero is that in the United States, remember, the beautiful thing about history is that you need to be constantly checking what's going on in other countries in order to make a better point of what's going on in your country. So in the U.S., we had President Taft during this time of the Mexican Revolution, and President Taft decided to support someone else, someone like Huerta, that could help the U.S. investors. So he was seeking to protect the U.S. economy and not the random citizen economy. He was looking to protect big companies, especially oil companies. However, we had the introduction to the political sphere of President Wilson, who he was a great diplomat. And President Taft, he was Republican, so they are more conservative, and President Wilson, he's a Democrat, so he's more liberal. When Wilson wins the elections, President Madero, well, they were good news for Madero because Wilson was willing to work close to Madero. So that's what's going on at that time. So we have different issues that we will be speaking of tomorrow. I would like to finish this speaking about the measurements that Madero took against transnational companies. He implemented some taxes, additional taxes over them. So President Taft, he was still in office, so he didn't like that. And with this, I'm going to finish this video. And President Taft started orchestrating a coup d'etat, which means golpe de Estado, in order to overthrow President Madero. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope this is beneficial for you. Remember, you can tell me if you are liking the way the class is going, the way presentations are going. I am pleased by the way we've been working. You are very participative, and I hope to keep on this way. So tomorrow we're going to speak a little bit more about the Cena Trágica, which is the overthrow of President Madero. So thank you guys.